welcome everybody, it's Rose Chronos 99 and we're here with Diablo 4. And this has just popped up, and this is just gonna be our Rogue comprehensive gameplay video. So if you don't like it, just go to the next Rogue video. But this is just gonna go and show the Rogue tree and what it's for and what it's about. Enjoy free items in the WoW Reliquary. Earn 6 free legendary WoW cosmetics, including Zin Karath, Destroyer of Worlds Polearm cosmetic. Display your allegiance with Alliance and Horde Flag mount trophies. Claim WoW Premium Reliquary. Get 8 additional Premium Reliquary items, including Eye of Khatun back trophy, Ashbringer sword cosmetic, and Premium custom completion pet Hakar. They're alright. I do like the Night Elf gear and the Druid gear for the Night Elves. Pretty cool. Shop armor, mountain bundles, and free claimable rewards. 20 years of WoW, bro. It's crazy that they still have the same game engine pretty much. And that game engine is garbage. It's too bad that, like, you can't see what I see. Like, this game looks so good. Like, right now, I'm looking at him, he looks so good compared to, like, you know, what you're gonna see on YouTube or on the stream.
Behold the marvelous tales I have to offer.
And even though that this is going to be, you know, Spectral Barrel Lord. Thing is that they charge so much money for these things, and it just... If these were like $2 or $3, I would be like, okay. For the Horde. These things are like free, so might as well. The Alliance.
Very good.
I mean, free is free, right?
It calls to you.
It calls to. Sounds kind of weird on my end. I don't know if it's... Discounted. Discounted for 5,700. That's not bad. 74%. And you get all of the mega. What's 57 platinum actually costs? Wow. So 57 platinum, so you're looking at $50 for that shit. $50 for the cosmetic, the whole thing. Meaning that you get all of these things. These are all cosmetics, by the way, for 50 bucks. Nuts. And then 25, and the most I've seen is like 28, and that's $25 just for that. You could get the weapons. They're alright. I kind of like them for $1,500. I mean 1,500 platinum, so you're looking at $15 for that. Crazy. 4,500 for this Ancient Hydra pack. These right here you could get in the if you pay $50 for the deluxe pack or whatever. I believe. I don't think there's anything else. Anyways, we will get back to her, but we're gonna look at my tree. My tree for my girl, Kara. I do not know Azrindor. I kind of like your name. I might steal it. So I have 60 points. So does that mean that they took out every one of my points, right? Let's get over here. Do these still do the same thing? Yeah, they do. Yeah, they took out every point that I've ever gotten. But they unlocked everything, so. Alright, like I said, we gotta go through all of the trees to figure out. Everything else is gonna be the same. I'm not gonna be using these, but. Gain 2 additional energy once every 1 second after hitting an enemy with invigorating strike. The close enemies are control. Okay, that's just energy shit. Increases invigorating strikes cast speed by 5% when hitting an enemy for the first time, up to 20%, so it just goes faster. Heal for 2% of your maximum life. Hit an enemy with invigorating strike makes them vulnerable. That's actually pretty good. And then these are the main ones, I guess. Accumulating strike now deals 23 damage every third cast. Grants 1 stack of resolve and 1 stack of ferocity. Increases my attack speed, increases my armor. Huh. Mobility skill. Now dashes you to your target, dealing 23 damage and granting 10% increased movement speed. This might look different to you because that's just calculating the damage that I have with my weapons. So, eviscerating strike. It's now cleaves, dealing 71 cold damage and chilling enemies for 20% per attack. It's pretty cool. This one, blade shift. Quickly stab your victim for. Oh, is this the throwing? Melee attack and enemy dealing. Quickly stab your victim for that. Damaging and shift, making it unhindered for 4 seconds. Moving through enemies refreshes the skill duration. This was blade shift. Throw blades. Okay, I was about to say throw blades a certain distance. All right, this is blade shift. Quickly stab your victim for that, damaging and shift, making you unhindered. Move through enemies. Oh. Move through an enemy, gain 1 stack of resolve. When you move through an enemy, gain 1 stack of overpower. Gain. When blade shift is active, gain plus 540 and 20% resistance to all elements. That's really good. Move through enemy, gain 4 energy. So these are just these are passive skills, kind of. They're not really passive, but you know. Just now lasts for 4 additional seconds while active, granting you 50% more movement speed. When you move through an enemy, blade shift is empowered and it deals 75% increased damage while active. It deals 1445, and while unhindered by blade shift, you drop 2 stun grenades that each deal 289 damage. That's pretty cool. So they redid the whole tree, and you have to redo everything. So you have to look at all these and redo every skill tree for every character you've ever made. Kind of crazy. It's claimed on most socials now. Yeah, the whole tree is overhauled now. Yeah. Oh, the portal might be in the reliquary. It is in the reliquary. Arzendor. Well, thanks for joining the stream and saying something, but yeah, this is just an overview of me looking at the new trees. I've created a warlock, and it was just like, I'm talking to chat for YouTube anyway, for Twitch. But quick shout out to Azrendor. Thanks for joining the chat for Twitch. But I'm gonna go through all these. It should automatically attacks the enemy with blade shift. Blade shift nailed down. Shadow damage. All right. Well, blade shift automatically attacks the enemy with blade shift. Huh. That's actually pretty cool. And these are the throwing daggers. Throw blades that show distance. We know about that. Gain 3 energy when using punctured. When punctured damages an enemy and adds additional 2 energy of crowd control. Slows enemy by 20%. Critical strikes will immobilize your enemies for 2 seconds. That's really good. Puncture pierces through 1 enemy and has its range increased by 50%. Every 3rd puncture grants 1 stack of overpower. That's good too. Because if you have overpowered damage on anything, that'll make that skill even better. Puncture now applies 25% of its base damage poison damage. 6 seconds, and also poisons go up to 2 enemies near your target. And your critical strike chance against them is increased. Enemies poisoned this way are always pierced by puncture, and your critical strike against them is increased. That's really good. Puncture becomes a cutthroat skill. Puncture now throws 3 blades in a spread. We've had that before. Hitting an enemy with all 3 blades at once makes them vulnerable. Puncture now deals, and every 3rd puncture will also ricochet 3 times. We've seen that before. That's actually good. I like all those. Heart Seeker. Fire an arrow that seeks an enemy and pierces through its heart. We know that. A critical strike chance against them is increased by 1% for 4 seconds, up to 5%. So you get 5% critical hit chance on that. Gain 3 energy. They become weakened. That's actually pretty good. Heart Seeker pierces through 1 additional enemy. And that's heat seeking, so it'll hit 2 at all times. That's pretty good. I like that. We'll always go up the. We'll always go down and up. We'll do that. Heat Seeker now has 10 seconds cooldown. It fires 2 additional arrows to your left and right, dealing 770 damage. At least 2 arrows hit the same enemy. Surrounded enemies will be pulled in. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. Devour. We'll actually say what it is. We'll go by here and say what it does. I said those already, but I didn't say impossible escape, grenade shift, range of motion, propulsion, 3 of a kind, light bursts, and this is confluence. Confluence. Yeah, confluence. I'm making that more than it should be. Devouring Arrow. Heat Seeker now pierces up to 1 additional time, and it deals 10% increased damage against the enemy it hits for the next 4 seconds. So when it does pierce, deals 10% increased damage against the enemy it hits for the next 4 seconds, up to 40%. Okay, so when it hits 2 people or goes through multiple enemies, it keeps doing 10% added every time you shoot it. Procession. Heat Seeker now has a 30% chance to fire an additional arrow when Heat Seeker critical strikes against. That's not bad, 30%. This is the one I got, so we're going to do that. Fire powerful arrow at an enemy. Knock it back enemy. Propel can occur once every 2 seconds per enemy. Okay. It's close enemies now. Force arrow causes enemies to become vulnerable for 4 seconds. We need that. Gain 3 energy when force energy damages an enemy, and an additional 4 energy when attempting to propel energy. Grants 1 stack of. So these skills were those skills that were before the main skills. I get it now. There used to be one where it dipped and it has 3, and then you choose. There's one in the no, there's 2 other ones or 3 other ones, and then you pick one of them, and then they each can go to something else. It doesn't matter now. But forceful arrow grants 1 stack of overpower after attempting to. The good thing is that you used to have to put these skills in to get any of these skills, and now you don't have to. Now I get vulnerable for 4 seconds regardless. I think, right? Okay, yeah. So grants 1 stack of overpower after attempting to propel an enemy. Grants 1 stack of ferocity after propelling that Yeah, I would like to have attack speed, even though that this one, the overpower, the attack speed, because I have a crossbow, would be nicer for my DPS. This is going to be a boring episode if you're still with me right now, that I am reading these and I'm picking based on what I think is best for my build that I had before. If you've been watching the YouTube series, you probably know what I had before, and now this is the expansion. But if you don't want it or care about it, I will try to overview it in the next episode for the YouTube people. The Twitch people, you're just going to have to sit there and like it. Orbital Arrow now immobilized knockback to enemies for 1 second and deals 2248 damage. Orbital Arrow's knockback range is increased by 50%. I like that a lot because I like, yeah. Orbital Arrow pierces through the first enemy it hits, dealing 2120, and has a 30% chance to execute enemies. Execute is real good because they have to be 50% for normal and 5% for elite. That's a lot if you're fighting a huge boss, you know. Orbital Arrow Propel no longer knocks back close enemies and instead creates an arrow storm every 3 arrows, dealing 2891 damage and slowing enemies hit by 50% for 2 seconds. That's every 3rd arrow. That would be great if I already didn't have arrow storm all over my shit. Because that's every 3rd arrow, right? Every 3 arrows. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3 arrow storm. And slows enemies. I don't think I'll pick that since I have so many. So it's gotta be one that the Ender and Cloudburst and Pin. Mobilize knockback enemies for 1 second. It deals. I like the knockback range a lot. The Execute, you know, we're gonna go for this. I like this too, and I do like this, to be honest. But we already have a lot of slowed crap. And we're gonna read stuff, so Twisting Blades. Fail an enemy with your blades, dealing 739 damage. After 1 seconds, the blade returns to you, piercing enemies. Combo Points uses this. I'm using Combo Points right now. I don't see the point in putting it in anything else, but a lot of people think that I should. Especially since I'm not using it for anything. Twisting Blades is what I used to use back then. Like, when you get near somebody and you're like in the thick of it, you could stick your blades in them, run away, and then the blades return to you. If you don't know what it is, you probably do, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Twisting Blades initial impale executes enemies. Twisting Blades return damage is also increased by 20%. That's pretty good. I like that. Twisting Blades energy cost is reduced to 24. That's really good, actually. Okay? Both of them, I like the new improvements already. When you impale an enemy with Twisting Blades, gain 1 stack of resolve. That's actually pretty good. Because you're always really neck deep in there if you're being a dagger or sword or like twin swords build for your rogue. So, deals 20% of increased damage to crowd controlled or weakened enemies. So if you have a weakened build, like if you have weakened on any of your, that would work well with your blade skill because you have 3 blade skills and 2 arrow skills for your main attack. And 1 does weaken, I know that. But it's crowd controlled, so that means traps too. And caltrops. That would work pretty good, but I'm not using this. But Twisting Blades now cleaves and spirals outward around you for a short time after they return, dealing... Oh, yeah, I know what that is, yeah. Enemies impaled by Twisting Blades are dazed, so when your Twisting Blades return, your active cooldowns are reduced. Twisting Blades damage is increased to up to 2 seconds. Twisted Blades damage is increased by 75%. That's really good. Healing an enemy with Twisting also summons 1 shade to strike a nearby target. That's really good if you deal like shadow damage. No, it doesn't say shadow damage. Dealing 554 damage on impale and okay. I think shades are defensive actually. Yeah. The flurry I really like, but I'm not doing like a dual weapon build, so at least the flurry of stabs, you already know that. You should know that. If you didn't, just stop and read it. Fortify for 3 seconds of your maximum life. For the first time, if you read that. If you hit the enemy for the first time, then you get 20% barrier. Flurry gains 20% increased cast. Because if that was every time that you hit, man, your Fortify would never go away. So, get it at the first time, and then you have a chance to re-get it when other things come near you. That makes it more balanced. Flurry gains 20% increased cast speed. It's pretty good. Pets Flurry increases the damage on 15%. Ah. Once resets after hitting the maximum. Oh! So you get 15 and you go up to 45 and then it resets back to 15 the more you use it. Maybe. 10% dodge chance for 4 seconds while you have results. Okay. So if you get resolve in some point with any of your skills, you get 10% dodge chance, really good. Right? Yeah. Vehemence. Is it Vehemence? Flurry's size is increased by 50%. And the cost reduced down to 15. Flurry now gains 3% increase in damage each time it hits an enemy. That's actually pretty cool. 75% increased damage. It dashes you to your target and grants 10% increased movement speed. Transporter. I like that. So you can just jump in and hit them with that flurry and then fucking I might use flurry actually now, because with that move it makes it a dash and the other dashes are cool, but this is not a cooldown, right? It's also a mobility skill and it does 75% increased damage. I'll see what dash does. Now damages enemy in a circle around you. And that's just a circle. That means that just around you, like if there's a bunch of enemies around you, you can use that flurry to get them off your ass cheeks. They like to give you 3 of these, and only like, okay, there's 6. I'm sure. But Dance of Knives. Channel to launch knives at surrounding enemies, with each knife dealing 2194. Attack speed increases damage done rather than number of knives thrown. And it uses my combo point. Now if there was a fan and 5 knives. No, I didn't read these. Energy cost. Slows enemies hit by 25%. Grants 12% movement speed while channeling. That's pretty cool. I like that. I said 33% chance to pierce, and grenades explosion areas increased by 25. I didn't want to do that, sir. And grenade explosion rate. I don't know why. It's like a chance to pierce is good, but then and grenades explosion area. So if you have grenades, I guess, you know, coming out your ass cheeks. I guess 20% lucky hit chance. That's really good. Really good. I'm working anyway. Just farming drops in the background. Don't worry. You're supposed to be working and you're farming drops in the background. How are you doing that, Azrindor? I'm talking to somebody on Twitch. His name is Azrindor. If you want to follow him, if you do stream, brother. Dance of Nice now throws a fan of fire. Oh, I already said that, right? What was this? Lucky? Yeah, that lucky hit chance. I always put like lucky hit chance and elements on my. Sometimes there's with this new expansion, there's got to be probably new tempered shit that you can use. But I'll keep that in mind. And this is Fan of Knives. Yeah. Star Shards. Knives had 50% to shatter into 6 shards of metal on hit. That's pretty good. It's like a shotgun. Grenade jumper. So this is what it meant by that grenade thing over there. Dance of Knives now drops grenades instead of knives. That's actually really cool, because your grenades... Because I need to look at my equipment after this, because I do drop grenades with dash and everything. That's why I use dash, because dash at the end of my dash I drop grenades out my ass. So this would make sense, kind of. And then I'd have more grenades. That's really cool, grenade jumper. So when you would do Dance of Knives, would you jump and throw grenades instead? Penetrating shot. I already have one, because like penetrating shot. Yeah, penetrating shots on one of my things. Is it? Wait a minute. I know I took that shit off of there. Maybe? Yeah, it changed some things to make it easier to read. Yeah, this is the thing that gives me +1 to penetrating shot. And I can't redo it. And I thought that penetrating shot was better. It could be better. I'm gonna have to read that later. Anyways, penetrating shot is just a fucking laser beam that shoots through a line, dealing a lot of damage. It's 20% increased damage to vulnerable enemies, which should be great. And deals 60% damage per stack of ferocity. So 5 of ferocity build going on. Slows enemies, okay. Dodge arrows now deal 25% increased damage. This bonus is reduced by 5% each damage that okay. So but the first thing hit does 25 and then every other thing it goes down to 5%. Oh, that means that probably a bunch of enemies. Oh, you work at a hotel, brother? I worked at a hotel for a month and quit. Alright, well, I'm not that big, but I gave you a shout out more than a couple of times. You didn't get more shout outs, but thank you for watching the stream, kinda, and farming, brother. I told him to go check you out. And that's AZRYNDOR if you wanted to check him out. But they might not watch this because I'm going through the tree. Or this might be my most popular video. I have no idea. On YouTube, anyway. Anyways, let me go through this. And then let me see what... Penetrating shot takes 100% longer to fire. But shoots a larger, more powerful... So it's a Kamehameha. Ballista. I kind of like that. It's a Kamehameha. He's like, ah! 5 episodes later, mate! 5 episodes later, homie! And then 7 episodes later, 14,000 damage, so that's pretty damn good. Shadow shot. Penetrating shadow now summons 2 shades that also fire at your target. So shades do damage. I don't know what shades are, but maybe I didn't get that with her. Trick shot. Whenever penetrating shot damage an enemy, 2 additional arrows split off to either side. I got this in a... I got that and I took it off. If you watched my other YouTube... Like, I took that off of one of my things, and now they made it just built into penetrating shot, which is cool. I do like that. This is... I'll do that later. Barrage. That's pretty much fan of knives, but with arrows. Barrage consumes 1 stack of overpower to fire 2 additional arrows. So if you had overpower, then you can do this and it fires 2 additional arrows. And all arrows deal 20% more damage. That's really good. Increased I wonder what this increased cast speed means. Does that mean I could, like, rapid fire it even more? Where I could do 2 barrages hella faster? Or what? I don't know. And you're a braver man than me, as... I couldn't do that. I'm a brand ambassador right now, and I'm very social butterfly, but I hate people. And you probably would know why. The entitlement of people in general are mean. It's 20% increased damage versus vulnerable and weakened enemies. That's pretty good. Reduced... Any energy cost that you could do with her is actually pretty appreciated, so don't sleep on those. This is not a sexy ass thing, but it will reduce your fucking energy cost. It does make a difference. It fires 2 additional arrows, ooh, and all of its arrows now travel faster and pierce through 2 additional enemies. That's really good for their barrage. If you could team that up with overpower. which does 2 additional arrows on top of these arrows. That'd be great. Broadside. Barrage is no longer pierces and fires 2 less arrows. No longer pierces. Its arrows each drop. Oh, it drops stun grenades. You could do that with this probably. I'm seeing the different combos you could do. I would do the same shit. Your taxi is here. You can leave now. Sorry, I'm talking to chat too. Az is on there. Hope you don't mind me calling you Az. I don't want to say the whole thing. I'm having trouble saying your name. It's probably easy for you though. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna get anyway. I always do rapid fires like my machine gun. Oh. Damn, you could have 15 added now instead of 5? That's amazing. Did I used to have 10 before? We're doing 5 to each of these, so... Gotta look at my points afterwards. I know I had 5 on them before. Maybe. At least this rapid fire, you know, does more arrows with my combo points. Anyways, let's read with the critical strike. Rapid fire gains 5% increased critical strike chance each subsequent arrow. Yeah, I had this before. I'm probably gonna do that. So I get more energy once I hit that. I understand what that does. Additional projectiles. Fires 1 additional arrow. Casting rapid fire consumes 1 stack of overpower to fire 2 more additional arrow. That doesn't even sound right. That looks like a typo. Wouldn't you say 2 more additional arrows? I mean, I'm not gonna rape them for a typo for that. It doesn't really matter, but... So... Ferocity. Deals 7% increased damage per stack of ferocity. Do I have ferocity with this? Now I have to check shit. Yes, I do. I did choose that. So I was like, I knew I probably did. Rapid fire deals 7% increased damage per stack of ferocity. That would make more sense than doing the arrow. You gotta go with the build that you kind of go through. You know, I'm just gonna put 5 in each of my main ones that I like to have. But this one's gonna be different. I know I'm getting Caltrops, and I know I had 5 in that. So we'll go with this. I used to have Shadow Step where you just go behind somebody and then, but now it executes them. I should probably read these more. I like the single skills more. Vulnerable, damaging an enemy with Shadow Step. Applies vulnerable. Reduces cooldown. Actually, that's really good. Reducing 3 seconds for that is really good since it's a cooldown skill. So now cleaves, dealing 10% of the original damage. So when you go behind them, you cleave instead of hitting. Because this is like a single enemy thing, but this will make it so it'll cleave. That's really good. Catchy Show gets Unstoppable is really good. Because if you get... like, control and parrying effects. If you don't know what that means, like slow and dazed and all that shit. Sight unseen, as a sight. Shadow Step has an additional charge and refunds a charge when it kills an enemy. Oh my gosh. Casting Shadow Step increases the damage by 50% for 5 seconds up to 75. So every time that you cast it. And this will be really great. Because then you can keep fucking Shadow Stepping, right? That's nasty. Shadow Step dates. Well, my other rogue is a dual weapon artist and imbuer. This one's more of a trap arrow rogue. I don't know what to call that. I'm gonna call it like a trap arrow, like long range damage rogue. Shadow Step dazes the enemy. Primary target for 30 seconds. It leaves 4 stun grenades at its feet. That's nasty. I would go into this to get more charges and it refunds on killing enemies, but this one's really cool too if you're a grenade build. Like my thing says that my stun grenades do more damage, So this would make more sense for me to do if I was going to use that. Like I said, you have to know what your gear says. I have to look at my gear after I choose my same getup. Requires a target. No longer requires a target. It leaves a decoy at your starting location that taunts enemies and explodes, dealing shadow damage. So do you still shadow step, but you leave an exploding taunt? Damn, that's nasty. I like that. This is completely changing the rogue. And this is dash. This is the other one I usually do. Enemies hit by... oh, so they put slow on there. Did it always have slow? I don't know if it always had slow. That makes it better for me to have this skill. I use it as mobility. But if I don't need to use that mobility, then use this. Is it this? Or is it this? I think it... no, it's Flurry that... yeah, this is the one. It is 75%. This is 34.52. This dashes to the target, so it's not really mobility. I use that dash to get out of shit sometimes, or when I'm getting encircled, so I could just go through them and then, yeah. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, my dash, I'll need that. I use that to get away from fucking bosses too, so you know. Fuck. just to say something. Damaging enemies with dash increases their chance to be critically struck by 5%. So this, oh, for 8 seconds. So everybody I dash through gives me 5% more critical strike chance through everybody for 8 seconds. That's really good, actually. That should become weakened. I'd rather have the weakened just to make them deal reduced damage from that. That actually makes this more of a buffing move. I like that. What do they call it again? Critical strike chance, weakened. No, those they're not very sexy. At the end of the dash, getting 2 stacks of resolve. That's really good too. This is like a complete buff move now. Because if I gain 2 stacks, so that's 50%. That's 25% each time I get struck. Every time I do a dash. No, I need the additional charge, sir. Charge and its charge cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds. That's even better than it was before. The other one just gave you an additional charge. This one reduces the cooldown too. Can't beat that. A shade dashes after you, dealing... Dash's cooldown is reduced by 1 second per enemy you hit. A shade dashes after you. Oh, after me! Shadow play, that's cool. So when I go through somebody, another fucking shade dashes through them twice. Okay, I would have to... That's a different one. I don't know. Dash is also a grenade skill. At the end of the dash, explode and knock... At the end of the dash. I already have something like this. And knock down surrounding enemies for 2 seconds. That would just enhance my dash again. But I haven't looked at my skills. They could have taken that away. In the dash, you enter stealth for 4 seconds and gain 1 stack of ferocity, increased by once per 5 skill rings. Oh. I don't know what that means. Does that mean skill, like, ranks for my stealth? I don't know. I like the shade thing. These are all different than my other one, I think. This one would be cool because once I dash, I go instantly into stealth so they don't know where the fuck I am. Then I could go in there and then, like, fucking throw my poison trap on the ground or unleash my arrows. But it says increased by 1 per 5 skill rings. So, I have 5 skill ranks, and that means that I would gain 2 stacks of ferocity. I don't know. It's either this or this. I like the shade thing, so we're gonna go with that. I trap skill. Okay, they're not shades, they're shrouds. Shrouds. This is just, like, I get this regardless, so 5 minutes. So if I get this, each active dark shroud gives me one. I have movement speed for days, so it doesn't matter. Unless they change my equipment. These have 1 active shadow from dark shroud. Gain 5% critical strike chance. While you have at least 1 active shadow from dark shroud. Okay. Gain 5% critical hit chance. Healing, you heal 10%. Dark shadows have a 50% chance to not be consumed. That's really good. Casting dark shadow increases. See, putting just 1 into this and then doing this could supplement my dark shrouds anyway to give me more shit. You have to think of it that way, because like some things give you dark shrouds just randomly from I think critical hit strikes I get, and once I get those, I don't have to actually. It would lose that, but I would have to put more into these too. I'll think about it. Shadow Dancer, casting dark shadow increases your dodge chance by 50% for 2 seconds. So every time I cast this, okay, it's not whenever a dark shroud's around. So you have to look at that. So if I did put this into this, I would still get 10% dodge chance. While you have at least 1 active shadow from dark shroud, gain 10%. So I'd still get 10% regardless. For like having 1 shroud. Okay. Dark shroud no longer grants resistance to all elements, but instead it grants you 15% increased energy regeneration. That would be good too. But I just put energy regeneration all over. When the dark shroud shadow is consumed, it explodes in the frigid nova that deals surrounding enemies and chills. That would be nasty. I would just buy this just to get that. Because I get dark shrouds regardless, and I wonder if it works that way. I'm not going to look it up or anything, we'll just try it out and see how that is. Concealment. Advanced form of stealth for 5 seconds. That will not be removed by taking damage. Makes you unstoppable and unhindered. Pretty much Ninja Vanish. Ninja Vanish! Generates 440 energy. That's a lot. 4 stacks of resolve just by fucking Ninja Vanishing. That's actually really good. 2 stacks of ferocity after breaking concealment when cast. So when you go Ninja Vanish and then you hit, you get 10% more attack speed from just coming out of concealment. After breaking concealment when cast. So you get unstoppable 4 seconds after breaking the concealment. 4 stacks of overpower. Wow. You gain 10% increased critical. When you break concealment, you gain 10% increased critical strike chance for 6 seconds. That skill is really good. This would be really good for dual weapon build too. Fortifies you for 20% of your maximum life. Breaking concealment knocks down close enemies, so once you're gonna break it, you can just do a blade skill and it'll knock everybody else around you down. I can see where they're going with that. All nearby enemies are covered in a shadowy mist, causing them to become vulnerable and explode when it expires. That's crazy. When you break concealment, all nearby enemies are covered in a shadowy mist. So you go Ninja Vanish. Then you can just break the concealment with another skill, and then it covers everybody around you in a shadowy mist, and they become vulnerable, and they explode. Am I reading that right? Shadowy mist for 4 seconds, causing them to become vulnerable and explode for 3481 shadow damage. That's crazy. They made some skills that were just not sexy can be sexy. I love this. The smoke grenades are really good. I just don't use them because I only have so many slots and there's no hot bar thing. There's a hot bar for Diablo 2. Man, I don't think this one has it. Like, everything else is being used. There's emotes, and down is for my portal. Then the right. Yeah, everything's being used. Unless RB is right trigger down. I mean, the right analog stick down doesn't do anything. Anyways, they don't have that in this game. Smoke grenade gains 30% increased duration and increased damage. That's really good, actually. The size, though. Oh, I like that they made that an option. You know, because the size does mean a lot if more people get it. But if you hit, like, a generous amount of people, you get more damage. How much damage does this do now? 2,000? Wow. 30% increased duration and 25% increased damage. You gain a charge and it costs 10% less energy. That's crazy. So this is not a cooldown still anymore. You actually have to... This energy... I think this was... Was this energy skill? Hmm. So you can make people vulnerable with this, which I don't need anymore. So if you don't have a vulnerable build and you wait for resolve and shit, this would probably be good. Or if you... yeah. I would use this more though, because you get 2 of them. Deals poison damage. Yeah, they still got the poison grenades. Silhouette. No longer dazes enemies and instead creates a cloud of shadows at your feet. While within the cloud, you gain 5 critical hit chance and stealth once every 1 second. So when you throw the smoke grenade, it doesn't daze them, and instead creates a shadow, and then makes me stealth. And while in the cloud, which I mean, you wouldn't move anyway, unless it was doing like an AOE. Get 5% critical strike chance and stealth every 1 second. No longer dazes and deals shadow damage. Shade grenade. When your smoke grenade detonates, it also creates a shade that leaves behind 1 grenade. That's nasty. Smoke grenade is now also a core skill that no longer has a cooldown. And oh, that makes it okay. It's not a cooldown skill. And creates 40 energy. Alright. Yeah, this is a cooldown skill. And then this would make it not a cooldown skill. And 40 energy is a lot. Okay? But that's a lot of damage. And it no longer dazes them. But it deals shadow damage. And creates a shade that leaves behind 1 grenade. Also as a core skill. I mean, there's a lot to do in this, and this is what I'm gonna get. Used to be 5, and now it's 10 seconds. Anyways, knocks down enemies, and for 2 seconds when it activates. That's what I'm gonna get anyway. Vulnerable for 4 seconds when it activates. I don't need that. Now you have to choose. I like the knockdown with it. Passing poison trap grants 2 attacks or resolve. That's actually really good. You get 2 charges of poison trap? I like 2 charges, but I just do. Cause then you could throw that shit down and not wait, and then throw 1 down at your feet when they come near, and it stays on the ground. Trap bursts for an additional when it triggers. Burst for an additional. Enemies hit by the burst take 40% increased damage. What kind of fucking crazy shit is that? That's nasty. Poison trap's cooldown is reduced by 3.7 seconds. Poison trap has no arm time. No longer breaks stealth. And triggers no cooldown while you are in stealth. Oh, triggers no cooldown while you're in stealth. All poison traps active activate when you exit stealth and begin poison traps cooldown. Has no arm time. That means you can instantly throw it. It doesn't just go out and it goes, you know. It usually has a slow up. You can just throw it and it just instantly sits there. And its cooldown is down by 3.7 seconds. And it no longer breaks stealth. So if I have stealth on, it no longer and triggers no cooldown while you're in stealth. So does that mean that it doesn't have a cooldown? All poison traps activate when you exit stealth. So when you're in stealth and you hit something, then the trap activates. Okay, I understand what that skill is now. Poison trap no longer deals poison damage, instead deals 31,806 frostbite damage and chills enemies. It's just what you want and what you can do. It's crazy. Did I even do the caltrops yet? I didn't do the caltrops. Did I? No, I didn't. I'll go back to the caltrops, but that 31,000 18 with 5. You're still not doing as much frost damage. And that's 9 seconds. Next rank is 19. That's still gonna have 4 armed traps out at once. So I can have 2 and then wait for the cooldown and have 4. But the frostbite damage is so nasty. Reduce movement speed, repeatedly chilling an enemy will freeze it. That's so tempting, but I have poison builds, motherfucker. But enemies hit by this burst take 40% increased damage. Oh my god, yes, it does actually more damage than the frost, but it's just, all it does is that it bursts, it knocks him down, keeps him in it, an additional 5,400 right on it, and it does 40% increased damage from the trap. I'm going to go for that, even though freeze damage is good. We didn't talk about caltrops. Throw caltrops at down, affecting enemies and taking 336 damage every second, and they're slowed by 55%. Caltrop duration is increased. Duration is increased by 2 seconds. Casting caltrops grants 1 stack of ferocity. No, I like that duration. Caltrop size is increased by 25%. You have now 3% critical strike chance against enemies inside your caltrops. Double this amount against vulnerable enemies. So it'd be 6%. Yeah. Catch cold. Caltrops now deals cold damage and chills enemies for 22% per second. Caltrops no longer slows enemies and instead is also a marksman skill and that throws 24 piercing daggers over its duration, each dealing 201 shadow damage. Enemies damaged by caltrops become vulnerable. Caltrops no longer slows enemies. It throws 24 piercing daggers over its duration. Enemies damaged by caltrops. Okay. Throws 3 smaller caltrops that now deal poison damage. Enemies affected by this poison are weakened. I don't know. I gotta see what that is. Mired sharpshooter. Is this still a? Yeah, it's still cooldown. It still has 2 charges. Also a marksmanship skill. I think I have something that deals that. So this is an hour of me doing this already, and we're not even done. We're gonna try that. I'll change it later. That's crazy, though. Okay, the last one is imbuement. I don't do anything in imbuement, but we'll just read what it is. Cold. Skills grant 4 energy when hitting the first time. Shields an enemy. Cold imbuement's cooldown is reduced. Freeze an enemy. Cold imbue gains stack of overpower. You have 25% chance to gain a resolve. This cast is now creates a frigid emanation around you for 6 seconds that deals. That's like hurricane. It does like a whirlwind around you. That's good. Skills have 50% to encase you in a barrier. 50% chance too. Up to 30% in 6 seconds. It causes enemies to become vulnerable. Cold imbuement duration increased by 50%. That's really good. Shadow imbuement. Making them vulnerable. Durations that. When shadow imbuement's infections expire, shadow imbuement's duration increased. Casting shadow, overpower. Grants you stack of ferocity. 50% to create a shade. That explodes after 1 second. Grants stealth for 4 seconds and explodes the infection for 50% increased damage. Evading through an enemy, okay. Cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds each time you kill an enemy. Any enemies that you affect with Shadow Imbuement take 928 damage every second. And then poison. Casting poison imbuement generates 30 ferocity to further increase its duration by 2 per ferocity spent. Critical strikes with poison imbued skills increase poisoning damage. Poison imbued skills have up to 30% chance to reduce the cooldown of poison imbuement by 2 seconds. I used to have my passive skills used to be like yeah, dude, I am talking for way too long. An hour just passed by me just talking about my skill tree. I could just imagine, because I made a character for every... If you don't know who I'm talking to as. And I'm on Twitch, so you YouTubers. Anyways, yeah, I didn't know, like, I made a character in every class. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to do this off screen, but I wanted to do this for my rogue since she's my main, and I haven't even beaten the base game yet as... I haven't beaten the first expansion or even played the first expansion at all. I just played the Spiritborn and everything. So yeah, I'm that behind. But I used to be an addict for alcohol. So now I'm sober. So now I'm going to do more things. 40% increased potency. Successful time an enemy is poisoned by poison the potency. Okay. Few skills have 100% chance to fortify. Okay. Corrodes enemies around you. So it's like a fart cloud. It's like a shit cloud all around you. Took a big ass fucking fart. That's fucking funny. All right. The shadow clone jutsu. Can't see shadow clones, unstoppable. Cooldown is for 10 seconds. Grants 4 stacks of resolved. While any shadow clone is active, you gain 1 resolve per 1 second. That's nasty. After spending 100 energy, your next core skill cast becomes a shade skill and spawns a shade that deals 40% of its damage. After spending 100 energy, your next core skill cast becomes a shade, okay. Now also a shade skill and its duration is reduced, okay. Minimum ferocity is increased by 4 as long as a shadow clone is present. Alright. I don't use that, but... Death Trap. Arms 1.25 seconds. Activates. Dealing a total... So is that just a big ass bomb? I've never used this or this. I know I've been slacking on Diablo 4, but still, you know, I like what I like. For her, anyway. Even though she's a trap marksman rogue, I just, you know, I just like the arrow storm. Reduced by 50%, deals a total of damage in an area. How much does it do now? 46. So it does a little bit, 2,000 more. Consumes 4 stacks of overpower to reduce arm time by 100%, increasing. So if you have overpower stacks, it makes it even more pissed off. Alright. Pulls in enemies. It makes them vulnerable and knocked down. That's nasty. That trap gains 1 additional charge. That's fucked up. You can do like 8,000 damage. That's like... that reminds me of Borderlands. You vortex them in with a grenade and it blows up. That's nasty. And you get 2 of them. And the cooldown's reduced by 15 seconds. That's the build right there, buddy. That trap is also a grenade skill. What? That trap also released 16 stun grenades, and that would be the perfect for me because I have something that shoots stun grenades with my caltrops. So anything with stun grenades gets even more damage. Upon this, that's 16 of them. That does more than that. That's nasty. Explode after a delay, dealing physical damage and stunning enemies. That's just... Killing an enemy or dealing damage to an elite for the first time with that trap reduces its cooldown. Grants you 50% dodge chance. Well, they are ultimates for a reason, you know? It weakens. Damage increased by 20% while you have resolve. This is already going to 5. I have 16 left. Yeah, Rain of Arrows, definitely. 23,000. If you think that's high, it's just because I have a lot of diamonds in my weapons. Because I want my ultimate to be a fucking ultimate. So it's like 90% more ultimate damage. If you've been watching my YouTube, you know. Cooldown reduced by 10 seconds. Rain Arrows deals 20% increased damage and has a 25% chance to deal double damage. That is, like, reduced 10 seconds is great. Oh, I already pressed that button. So, it deal almost 50,000 damage, and it's doing 20% more of this. Doing over 30,000 by itself, and then has a 25% chance to do double damage of this. Or 10 cooldown. What am I looking at? 48 seconds, so it'll be 38 seconds. I think I'm gonna have to... I like to be a gambler sometimes, you know, 20, and you get 20% just to start off. Then you have 25% chance to deal double damage. It's crazy. Cast speed and lucky hit. Rain of Arrows cast speed is increased by 50%. I don't know what this cast speed is. Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah, I've been playing Diablo since my dad got me hooked on it on Diablo 1. With the butcher that killed me so many times. He's in here too. If you watch my YouTube, you'll see me fight him with the rogue, and I ran from that motherfucker. I was like, no. He looked at my trap, he walked over it, and he was like, whatever, what the fuck is this? I had nothing to stop him, and he kept on beating me, so I was like, fuck that. Thank God I was in like a little dungeon, so I could just run up a fucking ladder, and he was gone. My dad said that he fucking beat him twice. I don't know. Cast speed's increased by 50%. Lucky hit chances increased by 50%. Is that for the duration or what? What's cast speed? I have to read about that. So does that mean I instantly shoot that thing? Because sometimes she has a delay with it. So that means that there's less of a delay when I shoot my fucking ultimate or what? The lucky hit chance is great. But what does that mean? For how long? It doesn't have a Is it 3 seconds that I have 50% more lucky hit or what? That doesn't make sense to me. Damage is increased by 10% for every stack of ferocity you have when casting Rain of Arrows. So, if I have... Each effect stacks up to 4 times and each lasts for 4 seconds. So if I have 4 stacks, that's 40% more damage for Rain of Arrows for my ferocity, which I already put ferocity on, right? Right? Yeah, increased damage per stack. Oh, that consumes my stacks, right? No, it's per stack. And yeah, that's... Yeah, I'm gonna be using this a lot anyway, so... I'm always gonna have stacks of that. So you, like I said, you gotta... If you're building a rogue out, or you're building zero towards something, you gotta do that. I don't even know what this is, so I'm not even gonna fuck with that, so we're gonna do that. Monsoon. Rain of Arrows no longer immobilized, and instead it knocks... Its first wave knocks down enemies for 3 seconds. Rain of Arrows consumes 4 stacks of overpower to send out 2 additional waves. I don't have any overpowers. Consumes 4 stacks of overpower. So if I had overpower, it would do another 2 additional waves. It would be nasty. Maybe I should look at that. Rain of Arrows unleashes 5 arrow storms at the target... At that target nearby enemies. That's fucked up, actually. I like that a lot. Crashing waves. What was that called? Flash flood? Crashing waves. Rain of Arrows now comes in the sides... From the sides in shorter waves and no longer immobilized, but instead deals 21,204 damage, knocks back enemies towards the center, and makes them vulnerable. Nah, I like the Arrow Storm. This is good. I like that the first wave knocks them down, because for 3 seconds they have to stay there. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and then they get up. But if I have overpower... Does any of my skills do overpower? That's the thing. Knocks down. I already have something that knocks down enemies. The shade deals weakens. Caltrops no longer slows enemies and instead also is a marksman, so that there's 24 piercing daggers over his duration. Vulnerable, yeah, 30% critical strike chance and enemies. Duration is increased by 2 seconds. Let me look at this other thing. Grants ferocity. Now I want the duration to be better. Yeah. This is gonna just throw daggers instead of me throwing like that. I don't know. Critical strike generally feels increased perspective ferocity. Each rapid fire strike. Vulnerable and ferocity. Okay. So I'm either gonna be doing a ferocity build or overpower build, but the overpower build will... Nah, I'm gonna keep ferocity, but there's I don't know, brother. Yeah, we're gonna do the flash flood. This is good, don't get me wrong. But since I'm not doing overpowers, you know. I have 13. But, like, you see everything on my bar? That's what I thought it was. Thank you, ass. I appreciate you for that. Like, yeah, I was just like, it's gotta mean, because sometimes Diablo be making some weird-ass words up. And then it makes me, it confuses me. And I'm just like, do you mean it does this? And you had to make it sound in a fucking weird way? I don't know. Anyways. Ow, no, I didn't want to do that. It's tripping out for me. Can you please not do that, sir? I have 13 skill points. Can I raise these any higher, or do they no? I can only give more into these. Since I have no passive skills, and I have no more skills I could put into any of my other things. What does this do? Does it do anything? That's my town portal. What does this do? This doesn't do anything either. I could hold this and then press a button or whatever. Maybe not. Trying to see if there's any way to, like, have more skills be put on the bar. Probably not. I know I'm wasting your time. 1 hour and 10 minutes. It's like 7 o'clock. I started this shit at 5:30. That's crazy. Anyways, key bindings, mouse movements. It just key binds, no. Controllers is like, no, we just won't let you. Okay, they do. Auto move. Zoom in game camera, push to talk, toggle streamer mode. I don't know what that is. Streamer mode. Overlay map zoom. Action wheel. It's probably emotes, right? Persist targets lock. Yeah, I play with the controller. I don't know as if you play with the... I've only just finished the drops. I don't know if you play as a controller or a mouse and keyboard. My dad's a mouse and keyboard Diablo player. I used to be too in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 at some point. Before I got to get Diablo 3 on the PS4, and then I started using a controller, and I noticed how doing evades are really good in that game, and you couldn't evade in PC Diablo 3, which made no sense. And controller you couldn't use for Diablo 3 on PC. I still think you can. I think it's only console based, and now, yeah, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the $99 Steam controller. It's gonna be fucking way overpriced. Thanks for telling me that too. I own Diablo for the PS5, and I got the first expansion for some reason. And I got both the first expansion on that, but I have a PC with a 5080. There's no way I'm going to put this back on the PS5. But hey, yeah, you mainly play on the PS5 now? You got a Pro? Sorry, YouTubers, I'm talking to Az. He's one of the only people that watch my stream that's actually talking to me. Well, messaging me anyway. So he told me that there's no way to have 2 bars, so that's as much as I'm going to be getting. Skill assignments. I have a certain way I want to do things for this. My dash is on Y. The caltrops are not from that. That's from that. Caltrops are that, and then my layup the hammer down on the rain of arrows, and then rapid fire. Yep, that's all that it is. The caltrops are different though, because I used to throw the caltrops, and then before I used to do a backflip with caltrops. I don't know what it's gonna do now, because it's a marksmanship thing now. So it throws shadow damage daggers. We'll play around with that. Anyways. I got the Pro too. It's good that you got that, because GTA 6 is going to be coming on the Pro, and then the Pro is going to go up like $1,500 or some shit on the what is that, the market, those people that like slang shit for more money. Anyways, Pros are going to be in big demand. I'm glad I got my Pro, and I had to pay extra for this stupid disk drive. But Az, you can get back on me. I'm gonna take a smoke break, because I've been doing this for an hour and 15 minutes. And you YouTubers, I'm sorry. I will tell everybody from YouTube that I'm gonna do this off camera for my 13 other skill points, and I'll come back, because you know, As it's been nice talking to you. I'm gonna be gone for like maybe 20-30 minutes. So if you want to come back onto my channel, you're more than welcome. I'll keep on replying to you, brother. And if you want to talk, and one more plug for him, Azrindor. Go and check him out. Maybe he has a YouTube. Alright? But anyways, I will see you another time for some more Diablo 4. My rogue main in action. Peace out.